Welcome to Chieftain Roll Call. It's presented by Easton Water Solutions on South Main and Bellefontaine. This is our first show of the winter sports season. This show is made possible by the Chieftain Backers, which is a new student-led club at Bellefontaine High School this school year. And we are here to spotlight Bellefontaine athletics and Bellefontaine student organizations. Tonight we'll be joined by the Bellefontaine swim team a little bit later. I'm Bill Tipple with Rick Reed, who's a longtime teacher and coach and really a sports enthusiast, and Jack Varner, who's a junior, member of Chieftain Backers, also a Bellefontaine football player. Jack was a junior center and expecting big things out of him in the offseason and even next season as well. We won't really talk too much about the Bellefontaine football season. It's, 4 or 5 weeks removed, but it was a very good season. CBC co-champs. They went 8-3, lost a close, controversial playoff game to Granville. But I do want to talk about this, Rick and Jack, because it's timely. It just happened earlier this afternoon. The All-Ohio football teams were announced for Divisions 2 and 3. Bellefontaine is Division 3, and they had 4 guys named All-Ohio. And, you know these guys very well. Tavian St. Clair, a second-team choice at quarterback. Then third-team choice at wide receiver was C.J. Wilson. Also third-team honors on defense for Alex Caudill and Sullivan Ashcraft. And, Rick, I wanted to get the coach's perspective. Then we'll get the teammates' perspective in a moment.
I think it's the first time that we've had 4. I think we were talking today. I think we've had 3, maybe once or twice in my time here. I shouldn't say it's the first time it's the first time we've had 4 since I've been here in 2007. So that's good. I thought we'd get I was hoping a little higher. I thought Alex in particular, I think he had a first team All-State season. That's really hard to get. A lot of it is based on what you do in the postseason. If you look at those names, you're going to see a lot of kids from the schools that were playing deep into the playoffs. So that's fair. So that probably hurt Alex in that regard. But, I said it a few times throughout the year and at the end of the year that I thought Alex had a first team All-State season. I think he had the single best defensive season in my 16 years here. Yeah, and I think I'm pretty sure of that. And I get it. You say stuff like that, you always can think other people, but I'm not sure I remember a kid that just consistently changed a game the way he did. And we've had a couple of those guys over the years. A lot of times those guys, I think, made more mistakes than what Alex did. I think when we've had those kind of guys, they've had maybe a few more weaknesses. And he just didn't have many, man. He played at such a high level. I think Sullivan Ashcraft to get third team All-State on a torn ACL is that's incredible. And we've talked about it a little bit, in the past, but at the risk of being too hyperbolic, I think's the word. I've never seen anything like what Sully Ashcraft did. When I found out he was hurt, I think that was probably June. I just thought he's done. He's done for the year. That's what you do when you tear your ACL. You're done. And I heard he was going to try, and I thought, okay, I just didn't really believe it. Not that I didn't think he was. If anyone was capable, I didn't think anyone was capable. I remember telling Luke or Jack's dad, Luke, like, I've never heard anybody doing that. Now, I heard some people said other sports they'd done it, but I never heard anybody doing it in football, not for a whole season. And so, there's not a lot in high school football, I think, that's left me in awe and left me speechless, but what Sully Ashcraft did left me that way. So very, very rewarding for him to be honored that way. Tavian, second team, he's a sophomore. That's great. I think he's right up there with the very best quarterbacks in the state. And then C.J. Wilson, third team. C.J.'s probably another guy that maybe could have climbed up a rung or two. He put together a big time year. Broke the school record for catches, I'm sure. I don't think we really tracked that one, but I'm sure he did. And then receiving yards, and he beat it by about 100 yards.
Well, I was a huge Alex Caudill fan for what he did this year, Rick. I agree with you. I think third team might be a little bit low. Now, you and I love to reminisce on Bellefontaine football. Other guys that come to mind now, they play different positions. Keith Morgan at corner, he could take away a half of the field.
Didn't play it all the time, though.
That's true, because he was the quarterback.
He was the eraser. He came in on third down.
Right. I mean, but he changed the game.
No doubt.
Ethan Smith, and again, that's an end, so he's one side of the defense.
Ethan, probably the most, for one play, might be the most impactful player, but just, played end, so wasn't able to always, could only play his half of the field. Now, he did chase down a lot of plays away from him, but, a little more of a wild card. I think he would tell you that. Alex a little more steady, maybe.
And the other thing, two other things maybe hurt Alex as we talk about this, and we're going to get Jack's opinion. He only got to play middle backer for probably the last 8 weeks of the regular season.
Yeah, close to that.
Because Sullivan got hurt against Coldwater in week 2.
I think Sully sat Licking Heights. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And the other thing that maybe hurt Alex, that maybe, because this is voted on by the media, which they're going to base some of this on the history, is he didn't get to play any linebacker until his senior year. I bet if he played as a junior, I bet he's first team All-Ohio this year.
I think the biggest thing is we didn't go deep enough in the playoffs, 1. 2, he didn't have eye-popping stats. And on defense, stats are really overrated. He didn't have he didn't have like 11 sacks. I know linebackers don't always get that many sacks, but there's some guys out there that will have those kind of numbers. Last year, speaking of Luke, he reminded me that Alex was only second team all league last year, which that's hard to believe. I don't think he was second team all. I mean, he was, but I don't think he was. So yeah, some of it's a little bit of a career achievement, like anything. And let's be honest, these media guys aren't exactly scouring film. They're not. Some dude from Cleveland isn't saying, I want to see what Caudill did versus Coldwater before I cast my ballot. I mean, it's kind of a check a box.
Right. Jack, what's your take on it? These are your teammates, your friends. Four of your teammates are all Ohio football players.
Yeah, they're obviously very talented guys. Like he said, we haven't had 4 in a long time since he's been here, and he's been here a while. And yeah, they're all very, very good football players.
Maybe have you say just one thing that comes to mind about each guy. We'll start with the guy you probably work with the most. That's the quarterback, since you're the center. That's Tavian St. Clair. What stands out about him that makes him an all-Ohio football player?
He's got an offer from Tennessee, so if they're seeing it, I'm sure the people casting the ballots are probably seeing it too. Yeah, he's just very, very talented. He's probably maybe the top 3 most talented quarterbacks in Ohio, just like sheer talent-wise, and he's got a cannon.
How about for C.J. Wilson?
Also very talented. I guess you could say that for about all these guys, but CJ's ability to make the play when we need it too, and his toughness when he catches the ball, just dragging people with him. We have all kinds of guys that can catch the ball really good, but it's his after the catch is his best thing.
That's well said. How about a couple of those defenders? Maybe guys you went against in practice. Some Alex Caudill and then Sullivan Ashcraft.
Well, Solly's pretty obvious. Solly's just brute strength. He's strong. He's stronger than an ox. I won't miss being scout team against that guy for sure. And then Alex, the thing we'll miss about Alex most next year is just his intelligence. It was almost bizarre. He just knows the game so well. He would be calling out plays in practice that we were running before he did it. Here's a funny story. That Michigan pop pass that they did against Ohio State, where the linebacker
linebacker/running back.
Yeah. Well, I swear to you, Alex Caudill, right before the play, said, "You watch. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to do the same thing Granville did to us, and they're going to do a pop pass right over the middle. It's going to be a big gain." I'm like, "No way. They're going to run the ball." 2 seconds later, bam, 17-yard play. I was like, should have betted on Alex. Yeah, he is super intelligent. Yeah, it's weird.
Guys, we're going to shift gears to college. I know that Rick's an Ohio State alum. Jack's a big Buckeye fan. I'm a big Buckeye fan, and the one of the things that we're going to see a big change in college football starting in 2024, going to 12 games in the playoff, which I think most people will go for that. But one thing I'm a little leery too is, will it change the importance of the regular season? College football had a great thing going here where every game was so important. The Buckeyes lost to Michigan, which I'm going to get Rick's opinion on that in a minute, but some thought they would be out or could be out. Well, it turns out they still got in. So, the regular season matters so much. But Rick, do you think the committee got it right with the top 4 of Georgia, then Michigan, TCU, and Ohio State?
Yeah, TCU would be the team. I think clearly Ohio State, Michigan, and Georgia. Yeah, I don't think anyone else has a good enough resume to push TCU out. I think that's really what it came down to. They would have been vulnerable had there been a team with a better resume.
Okay. And do you agree with the seeding?
I thought, I had said to my friends that there's always a lot of accusations that some of this stuff is a little bit manufactured or rigged by ESPN. it doesn't feel like it is, because if it was, why wouldn't they put Ohio State in the 3 to play Michigan to guarantee the biggest semifinal matchup in the history of that event, and then guarantee a Michigan or Ohio State final versus Georgia, assuming Georgia would beat TCU. You know, they took a pass on that. And obviously, as an Ohio State fan, I wanted to play Michigan again. I think Michigan, we might lose, but, you know, you'd like another crack at it. I think the Buckeyes are more talented than Michigan, but Michigan's a better team. Now I think that could change, you know, in a month, and hopefully we'll find out. I think Ohio State has a chance versus Georgia. You know, the great thing is they've recruited really, really well for a long time. So, you know, is Georgia a little more talented? Maybe. Certainly, I think in the trenches they are. Front seven on defense, I think they're more talented. But I don't think it's by any. And I think Ohio State's, you know, I've heard a couple other the talking heads on TV say it. You know, you don't really want to put Ohio State in this spot where they're
the dog.
Yeah, and that's, you know, you think back to 2014, and that's kind of the way it was, where you got a super talented team that there's not expectations of. And, you know, I think Michigan does beat TCU. So if we can beat Georgia, then what a night that would be.
Well, here's one we're going to get Jack's thoughts on the Final Four here in a second, but here's one to consider. I think since Urban Meyer started as the Buckeye head coach, now Ryan Day, that would be 11 seasons. Let's go back to 2012. I think the Bucks have, when they've been a dog, have won every time that they played.
How many times have we been a dog?
Not very many, 5 or
Bama.
6. 5 or 6.
Or were we dogs against Oregon after we beat Bama?
The only time the Bucks didn't win was against Bama 2 years ago in the final. That's the only time.
That's true. Yeah.
So they are a dangerous dog.
We were favored over Clemson in the times that we beat them.
Yes.
The Braxton Miller injury game, going clear back, like Deshaun Watson, we were favored in that game and got beat like 30-0.
31-0. Yeah, I believe so though.
And then we lost to Clemson in 17. I'm not good with the years run together.
Lost to Clemson in 19 on controversial officiating.
Yeah,
that's only the second time we played Clemson then.
And then the third time was 2020.
And we beat them. Yeah. Okay.
So, anyways, the point is, when they're dogs, they don't lose very much. Of course, they're not dogs.
And dogs very often.
So, Jack, your thoughts on the Final Four?
I think they got it right. I think they got the right. I was kind of mad at first about Ohio State not being 3, but if you really sit down and look at it, it is hard to punish a team that made a conference championship versus a team that didn't. Which that's probably, I would have to guess, that's what they're saying in the committee room, that TCU. And it's hard to beat a team twice too. I mean, they already played Kansas State, so I think TCU is deserving of the 3 spot. I think if Ohio State would have lost to Michigan by like 7 or 14, then Ohio State should have been 3. But yeah, I think they got it right. I'm just glad Nick Saban didn't sneak his way on there.
He tried.
He did on the Big Ten halftime show. That was weird.
Yeah, that was a little odd.
He did. Now, when I ask you about the game, which was over the Thanksgiving break, the Bucks lost at home to Michigan, 45-23, still kind of an amazing score. I was pretty confident the Bucks win. Now, they could. Before the game, you could have talked me into the fact that they could lose, but I didn't see a game like that playing out. Rick, you're more of the tactician than me. What happened?
I've never been confident they'll beat Michigan. Really, that's just my nature. I have been nervous every game since 1988. So I did not feel good going into the game, but again, I never do.
Interesting.
You know, last year that's just paranoia. That's not a football thing. Last year we were totally manhandled, out physicaled, out cultured, all that stuff. This year, you know, and I don't say it very often, we were out coached. I mean, and I think enough people that have good, you know, respectable opinions, and I think Ryan Day would probably tell you that we were just out coached. Defensively, Knowles was super, super aggressive. And I like the fact he was aggressive early on. He was playing a lot of man. He was trying to basically take away their run, which really does make sense when you look at Michigan. You say, okay, you know, this is what we can do against them. Then, you know, it gets later in the game, though, and he continues to do it. And 3rd and 9, deep in their own territory, we're playing man, 7. That's the play that just – it was just almost like he couldn't stop. It was, you know, that was there. And then offensively, just way too, the opposite, way too conservative. You know, and I know they tried to do the fake punt. You know, I'm sure you've seen the clips. Oh, yeah. But, you know, and I get it.
Blocked it up perfectly.
Yeah, and it would have been a great play. I just, you know, my thing is you got C.J. Stroud and Marvin Harrison, just maybe throw to him. somebody made a point. I don't know. You read a lot of stuff. Someone made a point. I think it was 11 Warriors. When you're facing your rival in such a big game, you want the ball in the hands of your best players. It's really simple as that. We found a way to get the football in a bunch of other people's hands. The long snapper, he basically screwed up. Rossi carried the ball or caught it, carried it. I don't remember. You got the backup running back.
Fourth string, right?
That plays and carries the ball a ton. We had 15 snaps in the red zone. How many times do you think Marvin Harrison touched it or was targeted?
A touchdown?
That was a bomb.
Wasn't in the red zone.
Yeah.
Zero. The answer is zero.
It's bad.
Inexcusable. That's the stat that, you don't have to be a coach. You don't have to be really smart. Just you get in it after the game and you say, that's what cost us the game. That's stupid. We can't do that. You can't have that many people that are that smart to say, hey, let's just give Marvin the ball here. And in the last few weeks, I thought they had done a really good job. And I went to the Illinois game, my wife and I. They were force-feeding Marvin early in the game. I think it was 3 straight games where they gave him the ball in the first play of the game. And as a, former play caller, not Ryan Day, sometimes when you want to get someone the ball, that's what you do. You just give them the ball in the first play of the game. You're like, we'll get this party started right now, because there are times where it gets away from you. And how they let that happen, because Marvin is a cheat code. He is one of the 2 best football players to ever play at Ohio State in my lifetime. Wow. I believe that. Orlando Pace and Marvin Harrison. That's it. That's the list. I have never seen someone besides Orlando Pace that I look at and say, he's an NFL Hall of Famer. Give him a jacket right now. I'd put a lot of money on it. He's going to go, barring injury, he's going to go to the NFL Hall of Fame. He is incredible. I've never seen anything like it. And we've had great receivers. He's had great receivers on his own team.
Yeah.
He's going to make Olave and Wilson and Njigba. He's going to blow by them. He reminds me of Devontae Adams. He's it, man. He is it. And who knows? Hopefully he plays next year. You see Jackson Smith and Njigba, he's not going to play in the playoff game. Hopefully Marvin don't listen to this. I don't know if he listens to Chieftain roll call, but if he does, hopefully he does.
Big time listener.
Hopefully he doesn't listen and say, what am I even? He has nothing to play for next year. He is a top 3 pick.
Is he a sophomore or junior?
Yeah, he can't leave.
Second
He's got to
year,
play one
he
more
can't
year.
leave.
Oh,
Yeah.
he'll play.
So he will.
Because
I would assume he'll play.
The money difference, because he'll fall a little bit.
And he comes from money. How much money did his dad make in a career? $100 million?
Yeah.
I don't know, but a bunch.
I bet he'll play.
Well, I'm older than Rick, maybe 10 or 12 years older, and I thought this might come up on our show. And it's a different era of football because they throw it so much more right now. And I don't know if Rick's too young, but Chris Carter was phenomenal.
Watched him in the NFL, but too young. He graduates in 85? And I'm 5 years old. I don't even remember him.
Well, phenomenal.
Yeah, and certainly is an NFL Hall of Famer.
He is, and I would guess if we're going apples to apples, same time when they're 20 years old. Marvin's probably faster, he's taller, but they both have a great ability to go track the ball.
Catch radius is just sick.
I think Marvin's is even better though, just because he's long. He's so long. He's really long compared to his dad.
He doesn't look anything like his dad.
Yeah.
It's not really a comparison to his dad.
So, anyways, getting back to the game. You think I thought you would bring up coaching, which a lot of coaches don't like to critique coaches.
No, but it was obvious.
Okay. But I've got all kinds of questions about this because that's what I do. The Buckeyes last year, when I'm talking about last year, 21, there was it was a bad game. I told you the line a few days ago. They could have stayed till midnight. They were never going to stop Michigan. It was actually going to get worse because Michigan was just going to keep running the ball over and over and over. In this year's game, I didn't feel the same way. And I know the running back at the end had big rushing numbers for the game, but that
was icing on the cake.
Yeah, it was. That's not what lost the game. This year's game was different. The 5 big plays, which you can't take them out. They happen. They're real. That was like 80 or 90% of their yardage. So it was just kind of a quirky game. I give Michigan credit. I thought they coached and played a great game, but I'm not weary about playing them again if that happens. I know you talked about culture, maybe the mindset. I did not want to play them again last year.
No.
Now, it wasn't a possibility. Bucks were going to the Rose Bowl. Michigan was going to the college football playoff, et cetera. But last year, I don't think they beat them if there's a rematch around the first of the year. This year, I think I actually think the Bucks will be favored.
They will
to win the game.
Vegas is already, they'll leak that stuff out, that if we both win, I think they've got the Buckeyes as 3-point faves.
Okay. What has Michigan done, though? I'm going to give you guys, and I'm going to have Jack weigh in on this, because I think this is an interesting scenario. It's kind of the woulda, coulda, shoulda camp. 2 years ago, in COVID, Michigan was a 30-point underdog to play Ohio State in Columbus. Now, they canceled the game because of COVID, and other teams did cancel games throughout that 2-month window of COVID. So did Michigan really have that bad of a COVID outbreak? I don't know.
They practiced the week of.
Yeah.
Okay. Did they find a way to get out of the game?
Yeah. Saved his job.
That's where I'm going. If they play the game and Ohio State wins,
They fire him.
So
I think they fire him.
Okay. So that's a game. That's a history-changing
It's a
cancellation.
lesson for all of us. Don't beat yourself. Don't do things to beat yourself. Sometimes in sports, we beat ourselves. We do things that aren't in our own best interest. And now you could argue what they did. Is it shady? Might be a little shady, but they could do it reasonably with an excuse.
During that time period. They couldn't do it
Right.
like right
No,
now.
agreed. Yeah, during that time period. And they said, look, we're not going to go just let you beat on us for no reason. And I was mad at the time. I'm still mad about it. But it's also a good lesson in careful when you have opinions. And I've said a few strong opinions about their coaching, but I think Ryan Day is a great coach. I mean, just because you're a great coach doesn't mean you have a bad game. They wanted Jim Harbaugh fired. They said he was, he couldn't do it. I mean, he had not been great, and now look at him. So if you really believe in your person, which I believe in Ryan Day, I think Ryan Day is a really good coach. Urban Meyer believed in Ryan Day. That's the biggest thing I know is that Urban Meyer was really smart. And I'm not even a huge Urban Meyer fan, but he's obviously an outstanding coach, and he believed in Ryan Day. That's why what happened. Let's not run Ryan Day out because he's got a temporary problem with Michigan. Now, if we go and get blown out by Georgia, which it could happen, say we lose by 3 scores, and then next year comes and we get beat up in Ann Arbor, which I would guess will be underdogs up there, would be my guess. The seat will get hot. I mean, can't go on 3 versus Michigan and not feel it.
Okay.
And that's part of $10 million a year.
Well, Jack, your time to weigh in. How about Michigan? Nobody's going to talk about this probably other than me, but I thought about it for a while. I think they found a way to get out of a big problem, and to their credit, it all worked. If you would have told me, all right, they're going to cancel the game, then go like 24-1 the next 2 years, I'd have been like, no way. They were like 2-4 in 2020, but somehow they flipped it. What do you think of their turnaround, and what do you think about them canceling the game 2 years ago?
Well, yeah, they dodged Ohio State like a certain team dodges us. I'm not gonna name names there, but yeah, it saved Jim Harbaugh. Also, really made Ryan Day look worse than it was, because if you look at it, we go beat Michigan by 30 that year. But then we're sitting here, and he's like, okay, well, he's 2-2. I mean, he doesn't have a losing record against Michigan yet, and nobody's saying fire Ryan Day.
Well, plus if they would have won by 30, this is the mental makeup of sports. Who's to say the Bucs would have lost the game in 2021? I think they probably do, just because they were so
That Michigan
broken
team was
on
very
defense.
good, and that Michigan team was just good. Look at Hutchinson in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, that Michigan team was legit.
Oh, they're good.
And unfortunately for them, they ran into a generational Georgia team, because that Michigan team was really, really good. I don't think the team they have this year is as good as it was, nearly as good as it was last year.
Which is a credit to Harbaugh and his culture, because they're not as talented. But
I mean, I think they have a better quarterback, but that's about it. I mean, because they lost that running back too, the dude that we made look like a Heisman finalist.
Haskins, yeah.
yeah,
So that was my next thing to Rick as a coach. Maybe Jack can weigh in. Jack can maybe jump in first. How did Michigan change the culture, which COVID was a weird year, but they still were not very good, 2-4. How did they just flip it around like that? That's not normal.
Well, you can see it. I mean, I feel like they didn't take Ohio State, they kind of didn't put their full focus on Ohio State all year round. Like, you see, they posted about it, and they're like, what are you doing to beat Ohio State today? This, that. They definitely had a culture flip, and then I think we kind of ticked them off a little bit there. I remember Ryan Day said they better have a mercy rule because we're going to hang 100 on them or something. I think that probably got them fired up, and it came back to bite us in the butt. And then there was a video of our players a month before the season stomping on Michigan's jerseys, and it's just, I mean, it's obviously a rivalry game, so there's always bad blood, but they probably had some fuel going into that thing, and then he needed to change the culture. He's going to get canned.
I think sometimes it's important to remember that in sports, you can do a really good job and not find immediate success. It happens. And Jim Harbaugh has proven now beyond a reasonable doubt. He's a weird dude. I mean, I'm not a Jim Harbaugh guy, but he's a good coach. He's proven it now multiple places. It didn't work for a while, and I was surprised. Like, I thought it would work more than it did. That's just sometimes life. But he recruited well. Now, he recruited specifically well on the lines, defensively, running back. Is not trying to play the same game we're playing. He's not getting a top 5 quarterback every year and 3 top 20 receivers. He's not building his program that way. He's building his program kind of traditional Michigan, which used to be traditional Ohio State. That's why some people say, well, Ohio State doesn't really look the same as we used to. And we don't. We look like a West Coast team. We look, new age, for whatever that means. Michigan still gets under center. And Harbaugh believed that he could build a program. Maybe he didn't feel like he could compete with us if he tried to do it our way, try to copy us. It's a little bit like Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin's not nearly as good. Iowa, where they build their program in the trenches with toughness, and especially when the weather gets bad in November, and sometimes that can be tough, especially in these. We see this even in high school. In a spread world, in a finesse world, when you face teams that are super physical, London for us, it's hard. When we face finesse teams and athletic teams, we feel good. We're like, all right, yeah, we can do what you're doing. We do that every day. But when you get under center and you get in double tight and you get in 22 personnel and it's now I'm just supposed to play football different. And it's hard to turn on that switch. And, I've dealt with this sometimes when people say, like, why don't you get under center, Bellefontaine High School? A couple years ago, we tried to get under center. We weren't very good at it. And we battle this every year. We'll have these conversations in the next month. How much do we want to get under center next year? Because we all agree that if you had an inch to gain, you'd rather be under center. But it's not that simple. It sounds that simple, but it's really not. Ask the center. When you get under center, everything changes. Yeah. His hands, his feet, everything changes. And then everyone's got to play football in a manner that they're not used to playing. And I'm not saying you can't get under center, because we may try it again. But you've got to, that culture clash that you see between Ohio State and Michigan, to me, is very pronounced right now. And if we get a chance to play him again, it'll be interesting to see what Ryan Day has up his sleeve. He's said to the media he's going to be aggressive. That's what I would recommend to him. Don't try to look like Michigan. Be yourself. Be the best version of yourself, the version of yourself that says you can't stop Marvin Harrison. Let's just start with that. You cannot stop him. And it's hard to play football when you can't stop somebody.
All right, so I think we're going to take a break. We got the Bellefontaine swim team in the on-deck circle. Anything else you guys would like to talk about? I think we're back next week. We can talk more about the Final Four.
Aaron Labatt and boys wrestling next week. Coach Stolle, we booked today. Jack is in his class. We booked him for 2 weeks from now. We're going to do a Tuesday, the week of Christmas, just because we don't want to hit the last day of school. So we'll have the boys basketball teams off to a 1-1 start. Picked up a big win versus Salina. Had a good game on the road at Shawnee. I was there. It was close. Down 3 with about 6 minutes to go in the third, and Shawnee went on an old school 30-0 run. I'd never seen that before. That was a game just, the good news is showed glimpses of, Shawnee's a pretty good basketball team, I believe, right? I mean, that's a team I think people think will be good. We were right there with them for 2.5 quarters and looked like we belonged, and then obviously got away with us, but got away from us. Some good things, and the girls' team's obviously off to a pretty hot start.
5-1.
5-1. So we'll have a lot of good people to talk to over the coming weeks.
Let's take a break, come back with more Chieftain roll call. Thanks to our first guests, Rick Reed and Jack Varner. We'll welcome in the Bellefontaine swim team after this.
This is Trey Daring at Eichholtz Daring and Sanford Funeral Homes and Cremation Center. We are committed to providing professional, tailored funeral and cremation services at affordable pricing. We are part of a community where caring individuals, friends, and neighbors who consider it a privilege to serve you in your time of need. We are proud to be locally owned and operated. Our family serving your family since 1903.
Go Chiefs! Foresight Insurance and Financial Services is a locally owned and operated financial services provider for the state of Ohio, focusing our efforts on serving the residents of Logan County and surrounding counties. We are located at 1653 US 68 North Bellefontaine. Foresight can help you with all your retirement needs. We specialize in assisting with pension options. We also offer business planning, charitable gifting strategies, as well as life and health insurance. Call today at 937-595-5002. Foresight Insurance and Financial Services, in the business of planning life.
Hello, this is Luke Varner from Easton Water Solutions. How is your water? Does your water need improved? Put my 23 years of experience to work for you. Give me a call today, Luke Varner, Easton Water Solutions, 592-8379.
At Realty, we value our clients and provide quality, professional services to Logan County and surrounding areas. Founded in 1988, our company prides itself on unique experiences that you can only find with us. Our area knowledge and negotiating expertise helps buyers and sellers achieve their goals. When you buy or sell with Royer Realty, you can use our moving truck free. Royer Realty, the realtors you know and trust.
Go Chiefs!
Welcome back to Chieftain Roll Call, presented by Easton Water Solutions on South Main and Bellefontaine. Our show is made possible by the Chieftain backers from Bellefontaine High School. We're here to spotlight Bellefontaine athletics and student organizations. This is our first show of the winter sports season. I'm Bill Tipple with Sharon Lewis, who is the 13th year head coach of the Bellefontaine swim team. That's boys and girls. We have Olivia Ullum. She's been on the show before for volleyball. We have Blake McDonald, his first time on Chieftain Roll Call. Olivia and Blake are both senior swimmers. Coach, first of all, when I think of you and I think of Bellefontaine swim, I think consistently good and a team that gets better as the season goes along. So that's how I'll open the show with you. What do you think of this year's team? You've had a couple meets already.
Yeah, so we've had a couple meets. Our boys actually won our first meet, which was an invitational, so that was pretty great to see them take that lead right off the start. We had a smaller meet the other day, but it was our first meet with regular high school events, which changes the game a little bit, and we had to look at how we're going to play our cards and who we're going to put where so that we can score the best. Both teams did pretty well at that meet. We were just a couple points behind the team that we fell to. We both fell to Kenton by just a few points. So I think we're really off to a good start. I think we will continue to see growth this year. I was excited to see quite a few best times in these first meets of our year, which is unusual. So I think they've put in the work outside of our season to get better. And so we're starting on a high note and we're working hard at practice. They had a pretty tough day today, and that's only going to make them improve.
And you just Tuesday night, you were at Kenton.
Yes.
Versus Kenton and Bodkins.
Yep.
Over the weekend, where were you at?
We were at the Bellbrook Sprint meet. So there was, at least 10 teams there.
And the boys won.
Yes.
How about the girls' place?
The girls finished 6th at that meet. We were missing a couple of our swimmers, so I think we probably would fall right around that, a little higher if we had everyone there.
And that was on Saturday. So, how does this year's, it's still so early, but how's this year's team compared to last year's team?
I think we're strong in different ways. I mean, our girls, we don't have quite as many at that top level right now, but we're heavy in the next layer of our team. And so I think figuring out where those girls fit who maybe aren't used to being on those A relays and that type of thing is going to make a big difference moving forward. I think as we start to put our puzzle pieces together, we're going to see this girls team come together like they have in the past. Our boys team, I think, left last year excited for this year, and they are like just building upon what they already had. All of our boys, I think all of our returning boys scored at our last meet, and so that's a big deal to me. Like, they're all invested. They're all finding places where they fit, and they're starting off kind of on fire with that because there's so many. That returning group is really ready to roll.
How many boys do you have out for swim?
14, I think.
Okay.
14 or 15.
Is that a pretty good number?
Yeah, I think if we can have at least 12, and the 14 is a very manageable number, we can get everybody involved and figure out where people fit well.
And how about girls?
We have 27 girls.
Oh, my.
Yeah, so it's awesome to have that many people interested in our sport. It is a little hard to manage with all of this many swimmers and trying to find places for everyone. And that's one of the things I think with our girls is we have to play with the puzzle pieces a lot more to give people the opportunity to try events so that we can figure out where they fit.
Is this the biggest amount of athletes you've ever had on any team?
This
26?
is the largest I've had. So we have 39 total swimmers, I think, and they, 41. They, my biggest team prior to that was 36. So, I mean, we've had some big teams, but last year I think we were around like 26.
Yeah, it was lower.
So we had a huge increase. We have 22 first-year high school swimmers. So they're not all brand new to swim. A lot of them have participated in our youth program and things before, but 22 first-year high school swimmers is a lot. You know, it's more than half our team in their first season.
Okay. You have any goal in mind for the teams yet, or it's still that early portion where you really can't pinpoint how strong they'll be?
So, I mean, I still want us to finish within the top 3 of the league. Like, that is a continuous goal for me. I think it's always an achievable thing when we have the numbers we have and we have the leaders that we have. I think it's totally doable. And I continuously want us to move relays and individuals to that district level because, again, I think that is an achievable goal for us with the work that we put in and how we progress over year after year. We get faster and faster. I mean, Olivia is a perfect example of that. Last year we talked about how much growth you had. I can't remember where you started as a 100 swimmer. I want to say it was close to like 130, like 120s, 130, and she swam a 103 yesterday. So to watch her like as a perfect example of what we do over time, I always want to hold those standards high.
So have you talked about the 2 seniors that are on Chieftain roll call? Bellefontaine swim on this week's program. Blake McDonald, senior. Olivia Ullum on the side, a senior. Coach Lewis with us as well. What have you say a few things about each one of these young folks? As a swimmer, what events they'll do this year, and then just what they bring to the program, not just when they're swimming, but other things they mean to the team.
Yeah. So Blake is in similar ways to what I was saying with Olivia, someone who has really grown over time and gotten so much faster throughout time. Blake has already started off this season with personal best times and is winning races for our boys. He is our comic relief at all times as well. He just comes up with things that like I don't even know how to take sometimes. Just like all of a sudden he's got a joke. It's good. I like it. It's fun. But Blake leads the boys in a way like doesn't necessarily have to say to them like, hey, let's go. Not that he doesn't do that, but just goes out there and does it, puts the energy forth in the pool. And I think that really gets everybody else going because he's dropped so much time. I mean, was last year the first time you broke a minute in the 100?
Probably. I was pretty slow the other 2 years.
Well, you weren't pretty slow, but you got better and better. But, I mean, to break a minute last year and then is already well under a minute this year, like swimming a couple seconds faster than that in 100 at this point, just shows how much work he puts in. And then Olivia, both of these guys are that great example of that same thing where we've worked and worked to get better and we're motivated to drive forward. Liv is definitely one of our leaders, especially for our girls, and making sure that everyone knows what they need and where they need to be and what they need to do. And she gets really excited for the team. I think the support that she shows for her teammates when they're swimming is important because then they feel a part of what we do.
Any other swimmers? I know we got 39 other kids. I'm not looking for all their names, but any other swimmers that you think are kind of the leaders of the team at this point?
Yeah, so I tried to get Jocelyn Robinson and Aiden to come with us too, but they bailed for other things tonight. But Aiden Mifsud is a senior as well. He's at work tonight. And Jocelyn Robinson is another senior that we have that both have swam a long time and helped to lead our team. Last year, Aiden kind of switched from being a distance swimmer to more of a sprinter. And I think that kind of reignited his excitement for swim. And pulling this boys relay together with the power that we have between our sophomores and our seniors and one of our juniors as well is really exciting. And then on the girls team with Jocelyn having swam since she was real little, she brings a lot of perspective to like when people are starting to feel a little bit burnout or like when we've done this a long time, how to get through that. Last year was a challenge for her for that, but that leadership that she can bring and say like, I get it, I've been there, keep pushing.
Okay. Let's talk to the athletes. Blake is here, he's a senior, Blake McDonald. Blake, how old were you when you started swimming competitively?
I don't know. Maybe 13, 12.
Okay, so not super young. You're not one of these kids that did it like in first grade or whatever. So that was through summer swim? Is that where you started?
Yeah, I started summer swim.
Okay. Is this, and I've never done this, so some of my questions were going to be pretty basic, but is this anything like summer swim, or this is different when you're a high school
This
swimmer?
is different. This is very different. Summer swim is so much easier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Like, cause it's just there's a lot more longer swims in winter swim. Summer swim is much more shorter.
Oh, okay. And what are your events this year?
I mainly swim free and back, like 50 free and 100 back.
So you're a sprinter.
Yeah,
Okay. What's your best event?
50 free.
50 free.
Yes, 50 free.
What's your best time?
I got up here yesterday. I don't know.
Okay, so you're already there.
She knows. She can.
25.6.
25.6.
25.6.
That's fast. Yeah.
It is fast. It's good.
Yeah,
I'm
that's,
happy about
that's,
it.
that's moving. Any other sports or clubs you're involved with at Bellefontaine High School?
I'm in marathon.
Oh, okay.
I think, and
Do you know what your plans are after graduation?
college, for electrical engineering.
Okay. Any swim after high school?
No, I think I'm done. This is last year.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe you'll do it for fun, I guess.
Well, yeah, maybe if there's a club, then, you can swim in, not competitively.
Okay. Olivia, how old were you when you took up swimming?
I think around the same age as Blake, probably like 11, 12.
So summer swim.
Yeah, I started in summer swim when I started swimming.
And do you agree with Blake that it's different and just easier?
Yeah, it's a much different environment. Just because like everyone's in the summer, not many people can make it to practices because they're on vacation, or it's just like a nice, easier schedule than high school swim, where it's mandatory practice every day and it's hard practices for the most part. It's like a couple months of just like probably like 2 to 3 months of hard practices that you have to get through, and then it gets easier and you see those times progress. But with summer swim, it's just, a couple months of just nice, easy swims.
What's your events this year?
For the most part, I swim 100 free and 100 breaststroke, and sometimes 50 free.
Okay. And anything else you do at the school? Other clubs, sports, activities?
I was in volleyball for 4 years, and then I'm in band and DARE and Agape, and yeah, that's and NHS.
What are your plans after you graduate?
I plan to go to college and study nursing.
Okay. Now, Coach Lewis has had such consistently good teams. We'll have you talk about this as an athlete. Have you been a 4-year swim member, by the way?
Yeah.
All through?
Yeah.
What's the secret sauce here? What makes it happen?
It's just putting in the work, I think, at this point. After doing it for 4 years, my freshman year, I don't know how I got through that year because it was so hard. Compared to summer swim, it was just like mind-blowing what our swimmers do in the water during practice, and it's just working hard for those few months. And then, sometimes you don't see the times you want, but by the end of the season, you'll get those times.
Any rival school?
Yeah, we, like Coach said, we like to stay in the top 3 for the league and the CBC. KR has a really good competitive team, and they're always who we're going back and forth with for races, so I'd say they're our biggest rival.
And does it matter where a swimmer swims for that meet? Is there a certain pool where you go to and you just think you're going to do your best?
I'd say, yeah. It's kind of like just getting in a groove, getting in a vibe of like where you fit on the team and like what you're swimming. And most of us, we swim pretty well for meets, especially against Kenton Ridge. We like to give it our all.
Okay. Is there any certain facility, though, where when you're going to this place, you think you'll do better, or that doesn't really matter?
I don't think the facility really matters. Like sometimes when the pool's like really warm, it's a bad sign. that's how I feel. And when it's like colder, it's just like I just feel a lot faster. And that's kind of an odd thing to say if you don't swim, but I feel like a lot of our swimmers would agree with that. If the water's warm, it just doesn't go right.
Okay. Coach, do you have any rivals?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with her about Kenton Ridge. We've gone back and forth so much and been close as a team. It's a good rivalry to have because we see them a lot, and so I think it keeps us motivated to want to try to move forward. We like to beat any team in the league, any chance we get. We want to, try to always be the top in our county and then to take it to that CBC level and try to stay as high in that as we can, which is always going to be based upon the makeup of your team. But I think that's probably where we sit the most.
And I want to ask you about one of your grads because she's still making news, and that's Amy Fulmer. She's at Ohio State. She's had a phenomenal career already. Did you see this coming?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when she was looking at schools and deciding where she was going to go, and she was very nervous about like not thinking she was good enough. And I kept telling her like, yes, you are. You get in that pool with all those other swimmers who are at an equal caliber of you, and you are going to see that growth because every single day, that's what she did when she got in our pool was push herself and push everyone around her to try to get better. And that mindset is what makes you grow. She has the physical ability to do it. We saw that throughout high school, but you're limited a little bit when you've got 4 lanes at the Y from this time to that time. And, you have some space in the weight room, but you're not limited when you go to a school of that size and that caliber. The possibilities are endless. So knowing Amy and how hard she works and that she just doesn't give up on anything, I knew that there was a lot coming for her. So I'm excited to see it all come to life.
Yeah, she's been a Big Ten champ. She's been an All-American. I guess maybe the next thing in swimming, ultimate thing you shoot for would be the Olympics. Is that a possibility?
It definitely is. Of all the things that COVID brought that were negative, the positive is that it brought these collegiate swimmers a 5th year, which will roll her right into another Olympic year as she chooses, as right now she's planning to choose to swim that 5th year. And that keeps her in that training and that facility and all those benefits that you get from being at that high level program to get ready to try for those next Olympic trials. So it'll be kind of interesting to watch it all continue.
This Saturday you're at Trotwood?
Yep.
Early departure?
No, we're in the afternoon session. This meet has gotten so big over time that they've had to separate it into 2 sessions that they'll score all as one. So there's a morning session and an afternoon session.
And how about home meets at the Hilliker Y? Any of those in the next few weeks?
Yeah, so we have a home meet next Tuesday against Botkins again and Jonathan Alder. And then we have a home meet on December 30th. And we close out our season with a home meet, our home season on the 17th of January with all of our Logan County teams.
Okay, so you'll be home a few times.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good luck this Saturday
Thank
at
you.
Trotwood Madison. Blake, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Good luck the rest of the season. Olivia, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks to our student athletes, Blake McDonald, senior Bellefontaine swimmer, Olivia Olam, senior Bellefontaine swimmer, and head coach Sharon Lewis, already in her 13th year at the Bellefontaine swim team. Also, thanks to our earlier guests tonight, Rick Reed and Jack Varner. It is Chieftain Roll Call. It's our first show of the winter sports season. We'll be back again next Wednesday. Our show is also always made possible by Easton Water on South Main in Bellefontaine. And also, it's led by one of our clubs at Bellefontaine High School, the Chieftain Backers. For all of our guests, I'm Bill Tipple saying have a good week.